Both Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro were special guest speakers at the Tribeca Film Festival late last month, the festival which De Niro co-founded. They spoke about their careers and many collaborations together, including The King of Comedy, Raging Bull and Casino, in a talk that lasted 90 minutes. At the moment, no video or full transcript of the talk has been released, but there are a few details here and there coming from reporters who were in attendance. Scorsese, for example, repeated what he said in the past regarding Raging Bull, in that he didn't want to make the film at first, because he had no understanding of boxing and very little interest in sports in general. It was due to De Niro's insistence and his explaining that the movie was much more about this troubled character of Jake LaMotta than boxing itself that he eventually persevered with the project. De Niro has been speaking quite a bit about The Irishman in recent weeks. A lot of it is more of the same about the de-aging CGI, the fact that Netflix left them alone to make the film the way they wanted to make it, and that he would prefer it to be shown in cinemas. You would have thought that Scorsese and De Niro would have talked quite a bit about the movie at Tribeca, but it turns out that wasn't the case, as in typical Scorsese fashion of not talking much about one of his films before their release, we only got a snippet of conversation regarding the 2019 picture. After a clip was shown of De Niro and Harvey Keitel in Mean Streets, Scorsese said that, "It's a world that's been romanticized since then. Even in our new film, the nature of who these people are not necessarily from the trappings around them, but who the people are." The book was terrific, De Niro added, and he spoke about approaching Scorsese with the project. "I said, Marty, read this, see what you think. We were about to do something else, and we went into The Irishman." Scorsese then said, "I think, profoundly, you've felt the heart of this character, this situation, and it's universal. It happens to be set in this world." And it seems that's all that was mentioned of the upcoming film. That was until it literally took an audience member to scream out for more information, to which Scorsese responded, "It's in the milieu of the pictures we've done together, and that we're known for, and I hope, it's from a different vantage point. When years go by, you see things in a special way." And that's pretty much all that was covered on The Irishman in the talk. Clearly, they wanted to keep the focus on films they've already made, as there was a lot more discussion dedicated to the likes of The King of Comedy and Casino, and other projects that Scorsese has done without De Niro, such as The Wolf of Wall Street and Silence, and discussions on about how De Niro had introduced Scorsese to Leonardo DiCaprio, who was in attendance at Tribeca, when the two had worked on This Boy's Life. So the parts about The Irishman were slightly underwhelming. I did think they would talk a lot more about the film, maybe even showed a cheeky sneak peek of it, but what they did mention was interesting nonetheless. Scorsese's mentioning of how the film is like the films he and De Niro are known for suggests it's a movie that is self-aware of its station as a last hurrah for the gangster genre, and one last ride for actors like Harvey Keitel and Joe Pesci, as De Niro has mentioned in previous interviews. I also found interesting what Scorsese mentioned about looking at things from a different vantage point. This is most likely in reference to the fact that the protagonist in the film reaches his senior years, an aspect of life Scorsese hasn't really tackled in his films. But now he and De Niro are also senior citizens, and they've found a project where an old man looks back on his turbulent life, full of regret and seeking redemption. Of course, we're all excited for the movie because it reunites the two and is a gangster film, but the added angle of having an elderly gangster looking back on his prime and being able to indulge in introspection and self-examination is one of the most exciting aspects of the film for me. It's the main reason why I feel, as I've mentioned in previous videos, that The Irishman in a way concludes a tetralogy of mafia movies, in that you start off with Mean Streets, about a duo of bums at the lowest level of the mafia, and then you have Goodfellas, which follows mob associates slightly higher in the ladder. And then it becomes a trilogy with Casino, which looks at made men in control of entire cities. And now we have The Irishman, which will take a look at gangsters who used to be at the top, but are now all old, feeble, and past their prime. Interestingly, each film was made in a different period in Scorsese's career, and thus will have different characteristics, while sharing key DNA. And plus, you could make the argument that the actors in the film, De Niro, Pacino, Pesci and Keitel, are all now old, feeble and past their prime also, which if anything, adds an interesting meta layer to the film. The Irishman is set to be released in the fall of this year. Thanks for watching.